The sharp smell of antiseptic filled the silent hallway as hurried footsteps echoed through the maternity wing. "Sir!" A doctor rushed toward the tall man who had just stepped out of the elevator, his white coat stained with tiny spots of blood. His face was pale, and his hands trembled. The moment Ethan Blackwood saw the doctor's expression, a knot tightened in his chest. "Where is my wife?" he demanded. "How is she? And my baby?" The doctor lowered his eyes. I'm sorry, sir." Those 4 words made Ethan's heart stop. "What do you mean you're sorry?" His voice rose, shaking with panic. "Speak!" The doctor swallowed hard before forcing the words out. "Sir, as a result of discontinuing the treatment, your wife and your baby passed away." Ethan's pupils widened in horror. "What did you say?" The doctor flinched. "Your wife and the baby couldn't survive after life support treatment was discontinued." Ethan staggered back as if someone had punched him in the chest. "No!" His voice cracked. "No, that's impossible." He grabbed the doctor by the collar with trembling hands. "I never agreed to stop her treatment." The doctor's face turned even paler. You didn't." "What are you talking about?" Ethan roared. "I was in Singapore signing the Hartwell merger. I boarded the first flight back the moment I heard Amelia was in critical condition. Who would dare stop her treatment without my permission?" Doctors and nurses exchanged frightened glances. The senior doctor hesitated before answering. "Sir, the consent form was signed." Ethan frowned. "Signed by who?" The doctor slowly handed him a folder. "Miss Vanessa Reed." Ethan stared blankly at the name. Vanessa, his assistant, the woman he had trusted for 3 years. The woman he had personally authorized to make urgent decisions whenever he was overseas. The doctor's next sentence struck like lightning. "You instructed the hospital months ago that if we couldn't reach you, Miss Reed had full authority to sign any medical documents on your behalf." Ethan's breathing became uneven. His fingers tightened around the folder until the pages crumpled. "No." He shook his head. "No, Vanessa would never." The doctor looked conflicted. "She told us continuing treatment would only prolong your wife's suffering. She said your wife had almost no chance of survival, and that you had already accepted the outcome." Ethan's mind went completely blank. Accepted? He had spent the entire 12-hour flight praying that both Amelia and their unborn daughter would survive. He had called Vanessa over 20 times. Every single call had gone unanswered. He thought she was busy helping at the hospital. Instead, she had been making life-and-death decisions, without him. His legs gave way. He collapsed onto one knee as tears filled his eyes for the first time in years. "I promised her," he whispered. "I promised I'd be there when our daughter was born." His voice broke, but I wasn't. The doctor looked away, unable to meet his grief-stricken eyes. Just then, a young nurse stepped forward, her face filled with hesitation. "Sir," everyone turned toward her. She bit her lip nervously. "I don't think Mrs. Blackwood wanted the treatment stopped." The hallway fell silent. The nurse's hands trembled. Before she lost consciousness, she kept repeating the same sentence. Ethan slowly lifted his tear-filled eyes. "What did she say?" The nurse's voice cracked. "She kept begging us. 'Please don't let Vanessa near me. She wants my baby dead.'" The color drained from Ethan's face. His heart slammed against his ribs. Ethan stood frozen. The nurse's words echoed through the hallway like a curse. "Please don't let Vanessa near my husband. She wants my baby dead." His breathing became ragged. "No." He shook his head repeatedly. "You're mistaken. Vanessa has worked for me for 3 years. She was loyal. She took care of everything while I traveled. Amelia even knew her." The young nurse lowered her eyes. "I wish I were mistaken, sir." Before Ethan could respond, another voice spoke from behind. "She's telling the truth." Everyone turned. An elderly nurse slowly stepped forward, clutching a patient's chart against her chest. "I've worked in this hospital for 28 years, she said quietly. "I almost reported Miss Reed to security that day." Ethan stared at her. "What happened?" The elderly nurse hesitated before speaking. "The day your wife was admitted, Miss Reed refused to leave her room. She insisted she was family and demanded to handle every decision." Ethan frowned. "That's because I authorized her to." "Yes," the nurse replied, "but your wife became terrified every time Miss Reed entered the room." Ethan felt his stomach twist. "Terrified?" The nurse nodded. "Mrs. Blackwood begged us not to leave them alone together." His heartbeat quickened. What else? The nurse looked around before lowering her voice. One afternoon I walked in unexpectedly. And I heard Miss Reed whispering to your wife. Ethan clenched his fists. What did she say? The nurse swallowed. She said, "You've already lost, Amelia. Ethan stopped loving you a long time ago. He's only staying because of that baby." Ethan's face turned pale. "No. Once your child is gone, he'll finally be mine." A sharp pain shot through Ethan's chest. His hands trembled uncontrollably. Why? Why didn't anyone tell me? The elderly nurse sighed sadly. "Every time we tried calling you, Miss Reed told us you were unavailable. She said you had given strict instructions not to be disturbed during the merger negotiations." Ethan immediately pulled out his phone. His call history appeared on the screen. 23 missed calls, all to Vanessa. None answered. His fingers shook as he searched for messages from Amelia. There were none, not one. His heart sank. Amelia texted him every single day, even if it was only to ask whether he had eaten. Yet during the 3 days she had been hospitalized, nothing. A horrifying thought crossed his mind. What if? He looked up. "Can I see my wife's phone?" The doctor nodded. "It's among her personal belongings." Minutes later, a sealed bag was placed in Ethan's hands. Inside lay Amelia's phone. The screen was cracked. He unlocked it using the date of their wedding anniversary. Dozens of unsent messages appeared. Every one of them was addressed to him. "Ethan, I'm scared. The doctor says our daughter is fighting. Please come home. Vanessa keeps saying strange things to me. I think she's hiding my phone. Why aren't you answering me? Please, don't abandon us." Tears blurred Ethan's vision. He checked the sending status. None of the messages had ever been delivered. His expression slowly hardened. Someone had prevented them from reaching him. Someone had wanted Amelia to believe he had abandoned her, and wanted him to believe she had never reached out. Just then the doctor returned carrying another file. "Sir, while reviewing your wife's records, we found something else." Ethan looked up. "What is it?" The doctor placed a folded document on the table. "It was signed by you." Ethan unfolded it. His eyes widened. It was a request to transfer ownership of several Blackwood family assets to Vanessa Reed in the event of his wife's death. At the bottom, his signature. Perfectly forged. For a long moment, Ethan said nothing. Then he slowly closed the file. When he spoke, his voice was calm, far too calm. "Seal every CCTV recording in this hospital." He looked directly at the doctor. "No one leaves." Then he took out his phone and dialed another number. When the call connected, he spoke only one sentence. "This is Ethan Blackwood. I want every airport, train station and border checkpoint alerted." A dangerous silence followed. "Find Vanessa Reed." Vanessa Reed never made it to the airport. Just 20 minutes after Ethan's order, police officers intercepted her luxury sedan on the expressway leading out of the city. She smiled confidently as they approached her window. There must be some mistake. But when they informed her that Ethan Blackwood had accused her of fraud, forgery, and suspected murder, the smile vanished from her face. Meanwhile, Ethan stood inside the hospital's security room. The CCTV footage played on the monitor. His heart pounded. There was Vanessa, walking into Amelia's room. Minutes later, every nurse was called away after receiving an emergency message from Vanessa's phone. For nearly 15 minutes, Vanessa was alone with Amelia. The next recording showed Amelia crying, desperately trying to reach for her phone. Vanessa calmly picked it up first. She smiled, then slipped it into her handbag. Ethan's fists clenched. The next video was even worse. Vanessa walked into the doctor's office carrying a consent form. "I have full authority," she said confidently. "Mr. Blackwood already accepted the situation. His wife has no chance of surviving. Please discontinue treatment." The doctor hesitated. "Are you certain?" Vanessa nodded without a trace of emotion. "He doesn't want his child growing up without a mother." The doctor finally signed. Hours later, the monitors inside Amelia's room went silent. Ethan turned away from the screen. His legs felt weak. He had trusted the wrong person, and that trust had cost him everything. That evening, Vanessa was brought to the police station for questioning. At first, she denied everything. "I only followed Ethan's instructions." But the detectives placed Amelia's phone on the table. Then the forged documents, then the CCTV recordings. Finally, they played an audio recording captured by the hospital's hallway security microphone. Vanessa's own voice filled the room. "Once your baby dies, Ethan will finally belong to me. Her confidence shattered, she buried her face in her hands. Then she laughed. A cold, broken, hopeless laugh. Yes, I did it. I loved Ethan first. He should have married me, not Amelia. I was tired of watching her live the life I deserved. The room fell silent. Her confession was complete. Days later, the courtroom was packed. The judge found Vanessa guilty of forgery, fraud, and intentionally causing the deaths of Amelia Blackwood and her unborn child through deception. She was sentenced to spend the rest of her life behind bars. As officers led her away in handcuffs, she looked back at Ethan one last time. "I loved you," she whispered. Ethan's expression never changed. "No, you're a monster." She lowered her head as the courtroom doors closed behind her forever. A week later, Ethan stood beneath a large white marble headstone. Fresh lilies rested beside it. He gently placed a tiny pair of pink baby shoes in front of Amelia's grave. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I should have listened when you said something felt wrong." A single tear rolled down his face. "I failed both of you." The wind carried the petals across the cemetery as the sun slowly disappeared behind the hills. Ethan remained there until nightfall, not as one of the country's most powerful businessmen, but as a husband who had lost the love of his life, and as a father who would never get the chance to hold his daughter. Some mistakes can be forgiven, some betrayals can be punished, but some losses leave a wound that time can never heal. The end.